Hello, this is another video on this channel. I've been reaching out to many MPs. Few have agreed to talk to me, which is fair enough. But I'm noticing something interesting. If we look at the graph summary for the popularity of the parties, what the, get this. We see that National has been declining since basically the last election. But has suddenly, this year, had a bit of an upswing. And, you know, Labour hasn't gone down. Green hasn't gone down for a while. This one has gone down a little bit. But it seems like, for some reason, like, the line for Tipati and National seem to be pretty much the inverse, which means people are leaving Tipati and going to National, which doesn't really make sense to me. But other than that, and ACT as well. ACT is also declining. But other than those two examples, other than those, I can't seem to identify where this upswing is coming from. And there's another thing. Is like, if we look at this, First is going up, ACT is going down. Oh, Top's coming back up again. But, and then if we look at the, by the coalitions, by the blocks, I suppose, the National ACT First block has taken a huge upswing out of seemingly nowhere. And the thing about that is, like, if we look at these polls here, National is higher than it has been for a very long time, since the end of last year. Labour is also higher than it has been for a little bit, since it was still leading. Or since it was leading, I suppose. Green is around the same. ACT is taking a dive. New Zealand First is slightly rising. TPM is taking a dive, and Top is rising. But I couldn't tell you where this rise has come from, because if we look at preferred Prime Minister, for some reason, Luxon is still in the lead, even though his net favourability is -7. And whereas Chris Hipkins's net favourability is +16. So, and Luxon has had a negative favourability for most of his time in office, whereas Chris Hipkins has had a positive favourability for most of his time in office. Now, people are saying that the government is going in the right direction, but it's not a majority. Look, here is a majority of people saying it's going in the wrong direction. Close to a majority, or half, close to a majority, close to a majority. Here, right direction, only 43.5%. It's not so much that people think it's going in the right direction, but that just people don't think it's going in the wrong direction. Look at that, 15.8% of I don't know. Like, these are the suspected seats from the latest poll, which was granted a month ago, but I couldn't tell you how this such a low like, I get that the leader isn't the only thing to do with the party, but it's quite interesting, because perhaps it's the news that I'm consuming, but I have seen very little positive in the way of National recently. But, still a long time before the next election. I think it's around here, so we're not even halfway through. Winston Peters is still the Deputy Prime Minister, whereas halfway through it'll switch to being David Seymour. But it's interesting. We'll see how that goes. I think we're going to have a situation kind of similar to the Canadian election. This is my initial suspicion, is that people who are more leaning towards National are really going to want National to win, and people who are more leaning towards Labour are really going to want Labour to win. And so what's going to happen is that everyone in the minors here are going to flood to the majors, and these parties are all going to take a huge hit, and then they're going to bounce back. But I think it's going to be very close between these two. I think this is going to be another close election. Um, we don't know who's going to win yet. Maybe I should do a prediction. Should I do a prediction? But yeah, that's interesting.